Motion carries. Marcus Gorsick?
Come on up, have a seat.
Hey guys.
Website wasn't working.
Is it not working again?
I was trying to get the stuff right before I left and I couldn't do it.
Well, then it came back on. You should live closer.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay, I just want to say before we go into this, is if anybody read the business plan, you know, there was no recommendations by me on it any way. Is, never mind,
There he is.
somebody's here. You know, it was just, you know, tell them to write a letter and everything, so. You've run a bar before, right?
Yeah, I was in Green Bay and I applied for liquor license and they approved me for German place and there was the issue with the kitchen floor, so then I never actually opened because the owner didn't want to fix the floor and they said that bacteria could come, and so I just walked away from that place. But I was the bar, bar bouncer and back bar and bartender, manager all over.
Okay, okay, I know that this place had some problems, you can't use the whole place.
Which one?
Mario's tell you,
Um,
can't use the whole place, only 99 people can be in there?
Is this what I don't know what the
Well,
code is.
that was the fire code because of something that they had to do, just so you know, but,
Okay.
this on the agenda tonight to go over quota. And so technically, that's all we should be discussing, is go over quota. Anybody?
Mr. Chair?
Hold on, wait.
So I'm just gonna go back to what you just said.
Sure.
So you never actually owned a bar?
Not well. I walk away from because I didn't want to invest $10,000 in a building that's not mine.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm just reading your,
Yeah.
your personal plan and business experience.
Yeah.
So you were a bartender, security person, manager,
Yeah.
but you never owned an operating bar?
Yeah, I never kind of own. Yeah.
Just trying, because I was gonna ask you what the name of the
Yeah,
bar
sure.
was, because you
Yeah.
had the address here and
Yeah, there was.
been
I
several,
was,
I
yeah, I
worked-
was.
there's been
I
several
was
different.
planning to open Jager bar, like because in Germany it's like, you know, Hunter.
Hunter,
Yeah. So I was. I want to bring the good schnitzel and stuff like this in Green Bay, but like you say, I couldn't get the license for the kitchen to get open and.
And the business here, your business plan, I don't see anything about food, right?
Yeah, there's no food, but it's like Mexican places, pizza bar is there. So I think that all those guys gonna benefit from me if we open that. You know, I think I like to have live music there. You know, jazz, blues, country, rock band. You know, there's a lot of local bands that we probably like to play there.
Are you familiar with the history of the place?
I do, yeah. I used to be a bouncer in Barabin, Lavier's, Mark Lavore. I used to own this place. I used to bounce for him.
68th in Oklahoma.
Yeah. So we have the same problem with the rap music, and I always tell them, don't do that. And you know, that's why I know what bring trouble in a bar. So I will never do it. I will not even own the jukebox.
Well, we've had a lot of trouble with this being a bar. The neighbors are happy that it's not a bar now. And in this case, where we're going over quota, I don't think we've ever voted in favor of just a bar going over quota. We've done restaurants and other things, but never just a bar.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't plan to open just like a corner bar. I like to have like a live music and something that people can go like a little bit enjoy and dance.
club or
Yeah,
something, yeah.
but not the
still-
rap. It's gonna be a country and
Well, it still
Right.
still draws a lot of people. There's still not enough parking there. And like I said, the problems in the past, people in the area are pretty happy with not having nothing there, so.
But I still think past I know was problems, and that's why I know what it's not good there. But if we bring I think it's a lots of people, and Vestal is looking for bands, live bands that could go and sit and listen and enjoy. Everybody have jukebox. Everybody play this rap music. Every bar that I go, I'm forced to listen that. So, but if local bands, I think, would be happy they can perform for their followers. I don't know.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, echoing your comments, we've never gone over quota for just a regular bar. We're always looking for a bar that is something more than just a bar if we're going to go over quota. A destination brings something different, not just reopening an existing older establishment, and especially an establishment that has had lots and lots and lots of problems. And I look at the other license holders, even within close proximity of this location. There are lots of other establishments that are there already. I have big problems with going over quota for this location.
Anybody else have anything?
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Weigel?
I'm just gonna read from our petition to exceed alcohol license quota. I think it's subsection D, it says the establishment will extensively rehabilitate a blighted or deteriorated building, will construct a new building on vacant land, and will benefit the community by conferring some other tangible and substantial improvement to the area. I guess I don't see that happening at this location. Are you remodeling the building?
I'm planning to do those windows drive me crazy. I would love to put different windows inside. I would love to paint something different than this yellow color that is right in the corner. But like you say, I would love to do something because that's why I asked owner for 4-year lease, and if I can get open that thing, I will fix that place, and he gave me options to buy that place later on if everything works good. That's what my thing is, because I think that this area needs some excitement there. It's just a couple restaurants. Well, not bad excitement.
Yeah, excitement, we need the excitement.
I know. I mean,
People getting killed on the corner is not excitement, but
well,
I know
because
what
of
you're
the because of the music, because of the a place that was. This
Right.
place was totally different, and I don't think so. It's fair that people get punished for what was before. It's like we should be what is gonna happen, and I would work with you guys to tell me what I should do to that you guys gonna be happy with that place. I don't know. I mean, I'm willing to work with you guys and with the building department also if I have to change or remodeling something.
Well, see, but that's my district, and the thing about it is that the people in the neighborhood are familiar with what happened in the past, and
Sure.
and it's a shame that they punish you, but they don't want to see it again. And
Well,
so
they
that's-
probably don't
that's
want to
the
see the people that used to go there.
And there's no guarantee what's gonna happen, you know what I mean?
Well, you
Yeah,
guys
you-
can take my license right away if I do different, if I'm not gonna follow my
It's a lot
business
hard-
plan.
It's a lot harder than that, taking a license away.
Well,
As-
I
as-
personally don't like that,
Yes.
I don't like the way how it used to be, and when I work in the bars, I know what brings trouble in the bars. I will not do that. I will not hurt myself, You don't cut hand they feed you, It's just
understand.
you want to be safe. And I could hire the security company if I have to, to protect everything. It's just like I just think that it's a good place to do. Nobody else have live bands there. Nobody else have what I like to do. It's not a corner bar. It's just a regular bar. It's something that I think people will enjoy. Stop by and listen to bands, the local bands. I don't know. But I can't do anything without you guys.
Mr. Chair, I guess also just a thought, where Burnham Point's starting to grow legs down there too now, where we're starting to get that walkable and everything like that, so.
Yeah, but
And there's a lot
also-
of bars in there, in that area.
Yeah. Also, the mayor talked with the owner of the building, and he said that he would love something like that there. Not the rap, but rock and country and jazz. That's what he said to the owner of the building.
Our problem is,
Go ahead.
we've heard this all before.
Oh.
We've been to this dance a lot of times.
No, I
And
understand, but
everybody says the same thing. You can take my license away, and it's not that easy.
no, I understand. But why I would do something to hurt myself,
Well,
to
I don't
hurt
know.
my business?
I guess I don't like an owner coming in here boasting about the security that he's gonna have. I don't wanna go to a bar that has security. I
Well-
wanna go to Applebee's.
Sure, no, I understand. But like I say, it's I understand your point. I just, like I said, I think the whole West Allis will benefit from this place, because, you know, I don't know, it's just what I like to do there, you know, so, I don't know.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Weigel.
point of fact, there's at least 2 bars in my district that do live music regularly, Paulie's and JC's Pub. And actually, one of them focuses on local bands, smaller local bands. So I don't know if you're going to the wrong bars, you know, but there are
Well, I
bars
don't
in
go-
West Allis that do live music.
I don't go much in the bars now no more because I'm a Uber black driver, so I also have PPL license through the city of Milwaukee.
I'm just letting you know
Yeah,
that,
so-
you know, and I'm also gonna say with the lack of relevant experience, because you've never been a bar owner. It is a different thing, and even in this case, you say about, you know, biting the hand that feeds you or whatever, you're not gonna be an owner, you're gonna be a tenant, okay? You're not gonna have hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in this business, you're gonna have maybe tens of thousands of dollars invested in this business, which is an entirely different thing.
No, I understand, but, you know, I think it's doable if you guys okay, but if not, you know, I can't do it without you guys, it's just.
Do I have a motion?
Can I ask one question?
Alderman.
Last time we had a committee meeting, you had mentioned that one of the applicants for a license was considered in the list in quota, even though technically they didn't have a license. We ended up denying them. This is still a motion to go over quota? Are we still required to go over quota for this?
Yes, because at the time, the quota was there, so this was an applicant in transit. So we consider this as the same as any other person trying to go over the quota.
So if this individual came in today, would they be within the quota?
What did you determine with the quota at this point?
We have one pending for the hearing process on November, and 2 possibly other new ones coming in, which are both in the hearing process in November.
Which were before this gentleman.
Right.
But they're all are over quota? That's what they're pending for?
Yes, all
Oh,
3
yeah,
of them are.
reunion.
Well,
Rockland,
right
and-
now, we're at or over quota right now.
Right at,
We're right at quota?
yeah. So
After,
we have
after the
three-
last one
We have
left?
two public hearings or 3 public hearings next
We
week?
have 3 public hearings.
Yeah, or 2 weeks.
So, okay. What's your question there?
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Weigel.
Alderman Mayor, were you talking about 6404 National? Is that the one you're referring to?
I can't remember the address. They were in last week. What was
Yeah,
the name of them?
64. That was 6404 National.
Yeah, where technically they were
didn't
considered
have one.
in the quota
But
number,
they're
but they were
considered
actually
under-
outside of quota.
They're considered, because we give the property owner kind of like a year grace, or 6 months grace
60
period on them?
days.
90 days. Oh, okay.
May change, but.
Yeah. That's
And
the one I'm
and I
talking
have one more
Just wait,
question,
just wait.
okay.
So, everybody down here?
I know that about 8 months ago, there was a proof for that place, Mexican guys, they come here.
Dance
and-
club.
Yeah, see, that's why I was thinking, you know, if they are approved for those, how come, like, you guys have problem with me, with the country and rock?
Okay, first of all, it was going to be a dance club, not just a bar. And after they backed out of their dance clubs there, other people came in after that, which we turned down, because they were gonna have a bar. So, we've done both, so.
No, I'm like to say, I don't know, I know I just always wanna have that, live music plays.
And when, I don't think they were over quota. Dance club wasn't over quota either, I don't think. So, I think there was something that fell right in there, so. Do I have a motion on this then?
Mr. Chair, I move for denial.
Second.
One second. Is there any further discussion on this?
Mr. Chair,
Alderman May?
just quickly, I don't think rap necessarily in and of itself draws a bad crowd. As a person who likes many different kinds of music, rap is actually one of those I enjoy. So I just want to clear the air that it's not the music type. And I like rock and jazz and you name it.
Well, I
I
tried
probably like
something
it.
different, you know,
Yeah.
that's why.
Now, the other individual who came in for this location, I also voted against the motion to deny, under the premise that just because it was a bad operators there in the past doesn't mean that operators in the future will inherently be bad just based on the location. So I'm gonna vote the same way I voted last time.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
No,
Sorry, motion carries.
Is this anything that I can do for later on, or is this final?
Come to council.
It does before the council next Tuesday?
Only one.
Yeah, so this committee makes a recommendation to the full council,
Okay.
which meets next week, Tuesday?
Following
2 weeks.
November
2 weeks,
5th.
2 weeks from tonight, November 5th.
Okay.
At 7 PM. There'll be, at the beginning of the meeting, there'll be time for public comment. You can address the entire council then, and you could try to sway them. That would be the appropriate time during public comment at the beginning of the meeting. Introduce yourself, but yeah. This committee's recommendation is 4-1 to deny, so.
4
but
to
there-
1.
Yeah, so there's 10 members of the council, so you'd have to convince 5 of the other, 5 or 4 and the mayor, right?
Yep.
Yeah, depending on who's there. Assuming all 10 of the members are there.
The mayor votes if there's a tie.
Yeah,
with all
the mayor would be a
bylaws.
tiebreaker on it, so.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Joseph,
Fishatella.
oh, I was just gonna say that.
You're not the first person to give it a little.
I know.
I thought it was Piscatello all this time. Sorry
it's-
about that.
It means fish in Italian, so if you can remember fish.
Ah, there you
fish.
go.
All right.
I knew something. Let's just go with.
Oh, yeah, that's where my family's from.
You apply for the bartender,
Yes, sir.
and you didn't show up last time. Last time we called you.
We found out they didn't have the apartment number on there, so when we went down and talked to Ann, we corrected the address, and
Oh, okay.
that's what happened.
I currently moved back home from South Carolina. I was in Charleston for 5 years. I was the chef for Boeing, and I was a private chef down south. And then the reason I moved back to Wisconsin is because my mom's sick, and I'm the oldest of 7, and I'm currently taking care of her right now and working for my boss, Chris, here. So-
He's applying for a bartender license, but as a manager, we require all managers to have bartender license just as security, so he's not applying as a bartender per se, just overlooking the bartenders.
Overseeing other bartenders, true.
Yeah, and prior to my application for West Dallas, I was approved for the city of Brookfield here, and then I do hold 2 current driver's licenses, one in South Carolina. They voided it because I did move back home, but I am valid in both both states, if you want to consider that.
Okay.
And there's just, Mr. Chair,
Alderman Rowe.
I'm just looking at the one event, the one DUI, that's it? Is that all I?
I had that at 21, I'm 43, so that was a little over 20 years
No, no,
ago.
I'm just-
Yeah, no, to be honest, I've been sober now for 18 months.
Well, no, we have a new system.
Oh.
I was just trying to get the attention.
I gotcha, I gotcha.
Just one, that's all I see?
Wait,
I jotted down, there was 2, I thought. But
To be honest, one was when I was 23, and the second one when I was, the one when I was 21, and then the second one when I was 23. So that would have been a little over 20 years ago for both. I did have to go to Waukesha Huber for a few months because they were back to back, but then the 20 years I haven't had any alcohol-related incidents. I've been sober for 18 months. I'm on the right path, and I think that I am a responsible manager. I'm a food safety manager. I'm a chef. I'm responsible for the well-being of people's food safety. I think that I'm suitable. I'm 43. I've dedicated my life to this business. Unfortunately, in this business, sometimes alcohol and other substances take over that stress level, but I've learned to overcome that and be a better person as I got older because I do have half my life to live yet, and I want to put that second in the past and move forward because I've.
So what you're saying is that you feel that you've been rehabilitated?
Correct.
Mr. Chair?
yeah, what did I ask?
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying. I think that your information is probably more accurate than ours. It's sometimes, we have though in our arrest data for Joseph Thomas Piscatello, that's you.
Correct.
Dated April 28th, 2015 in the city of Madison.
Yep.
Operating while under the influence.
That was dismissed
Was dismissed.
Yeah.
Okay, why was it dismissed?
because they didn't have probable cause. My car was at home and they couldn't make an arrest warrant being that I was at home in my own premises. And so I did fight it, and I did fly back from South Carolina to Madison 3 times, and the arresting police officer didn't show up for court, so it was a waste of my at least $5,000 to fly back and forth.
Oh, I think it was well worth it because you got off on that.
Hey, I mean, we can, that's why you guys are the professionals.
Yeah, okay.
I'll leave it at
All right
that.
then, yeah. if it
I
was
agree.
dismissed, Thank you.
Mr.
Follow
Chair,
me.
I was gonna say the same thing. It shows up as a 2015, and it says arrest charge, but it doesn't tell us the disposition, and I think that's one of the reasons we denied it, is because to us, when we don't see the disposition on here, it's, wait a second, something's still ongoing, he's still being rehabilitated, that's why we needed you to be here.
I understand completely.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Weigel.
So, full-time job for you?
Correct. This
how
is my
long-
livelihood.
And how long have you worked?
I worked for Chris since August 7th.
And before that, you were working?
I was taking care of my mother. She's got multiple sclerosis.
Okay.
I move approval, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Oh,
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
I don't know if you heard, it goes to the council in 2 weeks.
Yeah, this committee's action recommendations go to the council and the full council. A 5-0 that will likely be.
I appreciate it so much. Thank you for your time.
And remember, you don't have the license until you have the license in your hand.
Correct.
Like
All
I said,
right.
he's the backup, so.
And if
Okay.
we
Oh,
have-
yeah,
you
it's
ever
just-
see a problem in the bar, call the police,
Yeah.
you help work with the police, we work with you.
Yeah, and thank you for having me part of being a part-time citizen in West Allis for my, 50-hour work week, so. Well, whatever it is, so, but I appreciate it, and hopefully we see you guys in there.
Right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. All right, I'm Italian, sorry.
Thank you, guys.
Joseph,
Don't apologize.
Joseph Rosh Shrek?
Well,
Close enough.
I guess I murdered that one, eh?
Deutsch,
Yeah,
German for smoke.
correct.
What was your fence?
Rauschen for Boaten.
Rauchen.
Rauchen
for vote.
Just
Thank
what I
you.
needed today, a fun fact.
Fun fact.
Okay, you're applying for a bartender's license
Correct.
at the Remedy Bar. And have you bartended before?
No, this is a whole new experience for me.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Roach.
I guess I'll start out two and I'll look at the end of the table. 2 DUIs, the way I read it?
It's one right now.
Yep.
I'm glad I looked that way, okay. 'Cause I'm
One,
looking
my
at,
understanding is that you got one, got a second one, got the first one reopened and vacated or not guilty, and the second became a first, so you only have one conviction.
Correct.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I was gonna ask you, you said one for now. Is there another one that
No,
hasn't come
no,
through the
no.
system? Okay.
Yeah,
I
just
just wanna make sure I'm understanding
yeah,
correctly.
miscommunication.
Okay.
Can I give the speech or should I?
Well, you have to show rehabilitation first. Or not.
Well, go ahead.
Alderman. 22.
I'll go, yeah. All
You
right.
guys argue once a time.
So, right, and so what are you doing to not get another DUI?
Oh, I'm not driving anymore. Got rid of all my vehicles. The reason I'm bartending now is I hurt my back at my last job, and like I'm physically can't lift heavy stuff anymore. So manual labor is like out of the question. Just really want to try something new. I know, it looks bad, with my drinking and driving, but I walk to work every day. I don't have to worry about driving or anything. So, and I'm not drinking behind the bar or anything like that either.
Sure, okay, and then a couple things, yeah, with the one, maybe two, counting one DUIs, and at least one occasion, you've made a poor choices for yourself.
Yes.
As a bartender, we're gonna be we look to our bartenders to make good choices, not just for themselves, for everyone in the bar.
Yeah.
And so you need to make sure you follow the rules, you need
Absolutely.
to cut people off.
Oh, yeah,
If it means
I've-
you're gonna lose a tip.
In
or
West
something like
Dallas, I've
that.
already had to do that quite a few times.
Okay. And the other thing too is if you're ever having an incident or a time where you're thinking in your mind, should I call the police? The answer is always yes.
Okay.
Then if you're thinking, should I or shouldn't I call the police? The answer is always yes. Call the
Absolutely.
police. And you need to be a resource for the police. When the police arrive, you need to be able to say, it was that person, give a description, this is where they went, those things.
Okay. Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll move approval, Mr. Chair.
second.
Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Ray.
one more thing, our police department does do random checks of bars and such.
Yeah, I'm aware
So
of
just
that.
card everyone,
Yeah, I already
even
do
if you
that.
think you know them. Okay.
No, yeah, even if I know them, I still make sure that, because you have to have your ID, so.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm really trying to do this right, because it's the first time I'm doing it, so.
And usually the recourse for the bars is that they'll fire the individual.
Absolutely, yeah.
Of course, your license could always be taken back by the
Yeah,
city.
that's good, yeah.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just a
Alderman
couple
Weigl.
questions. Where do you live?
I live here in West Dallas. Where? On 61st Street, 1004.
So it's like Madison, Washington,
Madison, I think?
Washington.
Monroe.
I'm not really good with directions. Like right down by the liquor store.
Okay. And you said you're working now, so you're working at Remedy now?
Yeah, I'm working there full time.
So you've been so full-time, like 40 hours a week?
Just about, yeah.
Okay, just curious. You know, but you can't work alone because you didn't have a license and now you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Marie Fleming?
These things aren't flagged.
Okay. A new application?
I am going through, why can I not find this?
What?
I'm trying to find it electronically.
Yeah, we don't have the whole
Oh, it's
Have
that
a
one, it's the
worksheet
short,
report.
print up, but we have
thanks,
a
Ann.
spreadsheet.
So you-
line.
Spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Spreadsheet's
Alderman
much
Weigl.
easier to read.
So-
Much easier to read.
Oh, spreadsheets. Yes,
where are
sir.
you gonna work?
Currently I'm at 6 Points Pub and Grove.
Okay. And you have a day job or this is gonna be full-time work there?
No, I'm gonna go back to part-time. I was, the reason I started at 6 Points is because I lost my full-time, daytime job. And I've been friends with Doug for a while, and he needed a bartender and I needed a job. But it was working out, and so I've been there. But I actually just got hired for another daytime, full-time job for what I do, and I start there next week, so I'll only work a couple nights a week with Doug.
Okay. And this is this is your only.
It's been my
your
only source of-
bartending experience
Yes,
though?
it has.
Okay. And I see here that and where do you live?
I live in Wauwatosa.
Okay. Do you have a driver's license now?
No,
Okay. And how do you get to work?
either Uber or I get dropped off by my godfather.
Okay. And so in 2015, you had an OWI.
I did,
And,
yeah.
And again, maybe you were listening.
Yeah.
Alderman
I did.
Haas said that, so you made a bad choices that day.
It was a bad decision. The reason I had made that decision is because I had actually gotten into a domestic altercation with my ex. And for me, I had literally just had a beer and a shot with him, went outside, he put his hands on me, and my reaction was to flee. Well, he called the police on me. So, was a bad decision, obviously, but I didn't feel like I was under the influence. But I have 2 children. It's not a mistake that I would make again. I'm very adamant on not drinking and driving. I grew up with an alcoholic father, so it's been impounded in me since I was a kid.
And when do you get your driver's license back?
I should be eligible for it next year. Yeah.
Is that common that it's
What had
one
happened,
OWI and it's 5
I
years
lost my
later?
license because I didn't pay my fine right away. So then, once I paid my fine, now I'm gonna be eligible for reinstatement.
But that wouldn't be because of the OWI. You only get revoked from the OWI for a period of 6 to 9 months.
There's a child support issue,
Okay.
yeah, that was tied in with it too,
Okay.
but nothing to do with.
Okay, do we have any further questions here?
I move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you so much, appreciate it, you guys.
Marie Hamilton?
I'm doing a class project.
Oh.
Okay.
Alright, no problem.
You know, you can watch this on YouTube.
Do you want a
don't-
liquor
don't have to-
license? We can get you a bartender license.
Alderman,
Okay, did we, no response to the letter? Okay, we'll hold that and see if in the meeting. Victoria Wildebrandt? No response to the letter also.
So without response to the letter, we would add that to the, that would be a denial.
Please hold until the end.
Yeah, I was gonna see if anybody comes in.
May I ask a question, please?
Quickly.
One's in reference to him. The alderman said he can't bartend alone. He has a temporary license that expired.
Oh, he has a temporary license?
Yeah, I think it expired today.
Well,
He had to come to a meeting tonight.
All right.
Otherwise it was gonna be, otherwise it expired today.
yeah, so he has, Mr. Chair,
Alderman Weigel.
So he has a temporary license that expires today,
Yep.
and he,
that's
and
where
the soonest he would get his actual license is 2 weeks from today.
All right, and the other question is, you said you have to call the cops. I called the cops on some guy urinating in the parking lot, and the ticket said he was peeing on the sidewalk. He was not. He was in the parking lot. I chased
Okay.
him.
You know, that's not on the
Can't-
agenda,
yeah,
that's
we
not
can't-
something we're
We
talking
can't
about.
argue that, we,
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, we're not talking about that.
We'll keep
right
calling
now.
anyway.
yeah.
Yeah, keep
We'll
calling.
keep calling them anyway. Yeah, good.
I chased the guy down and got the cops to go get him.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay, this is number 8, review of the license application, background checks. This is what you want to,
Sure.
Steve's gonna speak.
I just wanted to give a little preamble. I know we got new reports and there's been talk of like, you like the old way. Nick and I kind of set this up in a manner, I think we've talked about it ad
nauseam.
Ad nauseam, thank you. At length. A lot. The fact is that we're trying to come up with a mechanism that fits the new law with the whole rehabilitation, so I think tonight was a pretty good example of bringing these people in and showing them rehabilitation. That being said, I did end up creating a memo, which I'll pass around. After spending 2 hours doing this memo, I don't think I want to do this again.
Just give me a,
Oh, I see.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is that long stuff, just.
So all I did was take,
Okay.
yeah, all I did was take the information off the works report and hand transfer it over. Now, when you do that, obviously, there's too much room for human error, and trust me, I got enough human error issues I'm working on right now. So, what I was gonna suggest was, I would still give you the information, and it's up to you if you wanna review it, but at the meeting, either I can, Nick can, or Ann can go through the reports individually with each person. Like when you get to that person, we'll go through the works report and say, this person had, 5 cycles, and these are all the charges. Nick is gonna obviously review, these applications in advance of the meeting. I will have access to them. So I'm not saying that you have to sit and go through all of these, reports. We will help you go through them the night of the meeting.
That's fine with me.
I think that's okay. I'm eating up a lot of time, your guys'
Right.
time there. I don't know.
That's why I want to give it to you in advance. The fact is, we're giving you these reports, this is where the police were getting their information from, and I don't know, I guess I feel that you should have all the information. The police were just transferring over some stuff, but these kind of tell the whole history of an offense, or multiple
memo.
offenses.
The memo or this?
The actual reports. That
The
one-
actual reports
Yeah,
that,
the actual
Right,
report
okay.
is like 95 pages.
Yeah.
That- You get that list because there's 3 separate background checks, as I mentioned at
Right.
the A&F meeting the
Right,
other night.
right.
So they're doing the DOT check, which is gonna be noted on there, any in their own, and then if there's a works report, it'll be noted on there, and then you'll get the works report.
So you said you did these all by hand?
I hand transferred these, hoping that I could save some time for you guys, but it turned out to
Yeah, well,
be more work than I thought it would be.
it sounds like it'd be a lot of work.
Yeah.
Who has some?
And just for clarification, if you don't mind, so the document that the committee was getting in the past, in years past, the cops went through this works report and then transferred that on, and they were synthesizing the information and giving, kind of like you did here, but they were doing it for everybody in advance.
Yeah.
So that's what the old way was. It was
Yeah.
basically the same thing, but the cops doing that work.
Right.
And so, just for another piece of clarification, this is 2 processes coming together at one time, because you, as the clerks, had a meeting with the police department on trying to figure out how to save resources there, which is where this works report came from, and then the other process that we have, that was the rehabilitation, is mandated by law. That's if we deny somebody based on their record, they have to have a chance to present rehabilitation. So there's 2 different things that we're seeing here coming together at the same time initially, is the works report, which is a function of the clerk's office and the police department working together to be more efficient, and then the process being kind of revamped because of the law. Does that make sense?
Mr. Chair?
Yep. Alderman Rowe.
So this is a works report.
That
Yes.
is what's called the works report.
Okay, and
ORCS.
what did you call this?
That's my memo I just did.
It doesn't have any,
Yeah, no.
Recap of the works.
But since I did it, I handed out, we can use it for tonight.
and what are we calling this with the blue bar on it?
That is your master list. I do want to put everything together in a document with bookmarks on the side so you can tab right to the correct ones. I thought I did that, and that's why I thought I sent you on Friday, but
Okay.
I sent you.
Yeah. Well, we got
Mr. Chair?
all of me.
One idea, I don't know if we necessarily need to know the initial charges. We need to know what the disposition was, and if there is no disposition, then we'd want to know what the charges are. But would that save any of your time, or does anyone disagree with that assessment?
No,
Cop pulls someone over and says they're going 50 over, but they're charged with 20 over, we'd want to know, well, that's the same thing ticket, but
Yeah.
15 over. Well, do we need to know what the initial charge was? Because the court found that that wasn't.
Right now, we have a black and white system to say if a works report comes up, it goes on. We tried to get that document together to kind of give some criteria of what substantially relates to licensing activity. You've seen that in the past. No one could really come up with a reasonable document, so at this point, it was just the black and white thing. At this point, if the committee says, if there's charges on there, but they're all dismissed, we'll pass it on to the regular one. Or if there's charges and it just doesn't say the disposition on there, what do we do with that? Like
Put it on.
that one you mentioned
So,
earlier.
Mr. Chair, what I'm thinking is just get rid of the initial charges. Just tell us what the court charge was with the just tell us what the disposition was on the court charge, and if there was no disposition, include those on here too.
What I can try to do is make a cheat sheet kind of thing for everybody to go off of. But my caveat to that would be the end all be all is gonna be the works report. And so to some extent, like for example, when we get to it in our discussion here, for Christopher Neves, also goes by Schultz.
What number?
There's some questions there that I had about that, and then I see on like Psycho 3, it says disorderly conduct misdemeanor, no disposition. There's a lot of no dispositions,
they're out
but
of
I
order.
don't really understand what that means, to be quite honest. So if you want a cheat sheet, I'll put what I understand on there. And the convictions, which is what I think you're talking about, is we only need to know the convictions. I agree with you. Some of this is confusing to me, frankly, too.
Yeah, my thing is to streamline the process, because there's, the worksheets, takes a long time to go through it and back going through it, and I don't know how I do, maybe everybody else is faster.
Yep.
I don't
No,
know.
it takes me a while.
But as far as, I don't know, we could try that. I don't know, what do you guys think of the?
Mr. Chair, can we go
Oh,
back
Haas.
to the police department giving us the reports from before? Well, I missed one meeting. I don't know why we changed it. And
Well, it's,
what was wrong with the police department giving us the report?
I think it's a time factor, I don't know.
The original report, the original applications were being hand-delivered in our office memo things to the police department, which is going to one station to do one check. Then they'd inter-office memo it to a different station to do a different check. And then it would inter-office back to the police station to do the final compilation of everything, and then inter-office back to us. It was taking 5 weeks. So we got together with the police department and came up with a shared document that everyone can use.
It's a worksheet.
Yeah, which is that spreadsheet.
Oh, the spreadsheet, okay.
Yeah. And the fact was that works report was taking their resources and time. That was like the last one that they would do. And I forget which department did it, like the satellite station would do that one. And then that was the one that was taken the longest for somebody to be available to do that, where we have access to this system. We can just do it and print off a form, or the report.
I'm okay with it taking 5 weeks. I mean, look at this mess. Sometimes it might take 5 weeks to get a bartender license. Oh yeah, that happens.
Mr. Chair,
Waggle.
I'm gonna tell you, 5 weeks is too long to get somebody hired. I mean,
Yeah.
and especially we might give them a temporary and then take away their license, right?
It takes about 3 to 5 days, or 2 to 5 days.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chair, and I'm not talking about the merits of this individual right now. I want to
No.
make sure I'm using this as an example. Okay, so number 6 on here, Terry E. McKee. court charge, like, here's all I would need to see for this. Cycle 1, court charge, OWI, disposition convicted. That's all I would need to see for cycle 1. It's been convicted of an OWI. Cycle 2, the only thing I would need to see, destruction of property, convicted. The rest of it, if it's dismissed and such, it should have no bearing on what our decision-making is anyway. So I don't know if that would help save some time. I like the idea of getting all those reports. It's just having this as a cheat sheet is much. So would that save time, cutting out all the initial charges? Just get right to the court, unless it's still pending in court, then I wanna know what the initial charges are.
Just the guilties and the pendings.
Right,
Yes.
guilty and pending.
Guilty and pendings.
I'm not sure if this tells us what's pending. There's some that are just left open-ended, no disposition. I don't know what that means. It could mean
For
pending.
those, I would keep them.
Okay. And I mean, I guess if I'm doing a cheat sheet, it's because you've requested it and I'm trying to help out and expedite this process. It's not gonna take me less time to filter something out than filter something in. It's gonna be all a filtering process to get onto a piece of paper. I understand what this means. I've generally seen these before. I guess I'm not disagreeing one bit with the committee that I feel like the way these are coming out, it's just, maybe this is the fastest process and there's an intermediate process that doesn't take 5 weeks, it doesn't take 3 days. I don't, there's something about it, there's too much ambiguity in the reports that I'm seeing that I'm a little bit uncomfortable with. I'll say that.
That you're seeing, sure, that you're seeing now or prior? You said too much
Previously, I guess
ambiguity.
maybe I just relied on what the police were doing, so I never really second guessed it all that much. In this one, I'm looking through it, and again, I'm seeing things that are saying no disposition or left open-ended. I know procedurally what's happening, like on the one where the guy had two that appeared to be OWIs. One looked like it was reopened, and then the other one got amended. I was able to see that because I went back on CCAP and double-checked it and cross-referenced everything.
Which
Not
number
because
was that,
it necessarily
please?
said it on
It was the
here.
one we had earlier today.
That was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so,
Makes you wonder how the police were reporting.
right, and that's why it takes 5 weeks, I would imagine, because they were going through and cross-referencing everything. I don't know. I'm not trying to undercut the process that this is. I'm just, the information isn't as quality as I think we would want it at this point. Maybe that's what I'm concerned about.
Mr. Chair?
There's not that knowledgeable eye that's going through it and saying this is or this isn't. And I could try to be that eye. It's gonna take time and resources, but I don't mind doing that if that's what the committee wants.
No.
But we're not trying to create more work for everybody, and
No.
that's what it
But we're trying to create less work for us.
is.
And that's the truth.
Well, no, it's just,
And it is, this is, I don't know what to do. I'm a lawyer. Just look at all this. And we had a nice succinct report, and it
Right.
told us what it was, and now we're reinventing the wheel.
how can we get back to the report with you?
And not have it take 5
Just
weeks.
what Nick said.
Dedicate
By Nick
somebody,
going through it?
yeah, dedicate a lawyer to go through it, assistant city attorney to go through this.
Ultimately, you're gonna have an attorney present to guide you in the process, so I think the attorney should be reviewing it anyway. I don't know what the police report were doing. They weren't vetting it. That's not what they said. Exactly what I told you is they were taking the information off of there and putting it onto a piece of paper in a handwritten format. So they weren't doing any kind of vetting. So-
Mr. Chair?
Or-
Alderman Weigel, tell me 5 weeks, why is that too
Well, if I'm
long?
trying-
I don't know
If
why.
I'm trying to hire somebody and I want them to work next, I mean, I guess they can get a temp. How long is a temporary good for?
60 days.
60 days. I guess you're right. But, so I hire somebody, or an establishment hires somebody with a temporary license. And, you know, there's the onboarding process. It costs money to hire employees, okay? And he's working for me for 60 days because he got a temporary license. And suddenly, this committee finally gets to reviewing his licenses. You know what? The guy's too bad and there's no rehabilitation. And we don't renew his temporary, right?
Right.
And he can't come back, is there a time period? He can come back a year later to try to get a temp? No.
Wouldn't,
Come back immediately, but he won't be able to get a temp.
I thought there was a time limit on temporary.
Provisional, he can't get one.
Okay.
The point
Just
is,
can't work alone.
yeah, you can't work alone.
okay.
You know, it's,
Wouldn't Mr. Chair, wouldn't an establishment owner do a basic CCAP on
Yeah.
a potential? I mean, I don't know,
no, but it doesn't have
I would
access
as
to all the
well, but I've
information
always
that we
worked for
have.
someone, I've never
We're
learned
seeing
anything.
more information than just CCAP here. We're getting a lot more.
Right, this is very,
Yeah, we get more than the
as
CCAP.
Kevin puts it,
Yeah, CCAP doesn't have everything on it.
okay.
You know, so there may be, it maybe only happen once a year in the whole city, but Somebody's gonna come and say, you know what, boss, they didn't give me my license, my temporary expired, I can't work alone anymore. And I guess that's just something that if we want our bars and restaurant staff to deal with that, we could do that. I think.
I'm gonna use Marty's thing. What other communities do?
Yeah. My favorite
Actually,
question.
that's how I came up with this. I talked to several, and every one of them gives these reports to
worksheet.
the committee.
The worksheet or?
The works report.
Oh, the works
The
report.
95 pages. Works report, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Only me.
It doesn't bother me that we have that, but then we're gonna have to sit here and I think and go through it together as a committee.
So we all understand what we're
Which,
talking
or, in which case, we'll probably be asking you for your advice anyway, Nick.
Sure.
So,
Why don't we do this for the foreseeable future, maybe a month or two? I will try to assess how much time that takes me, and if you guys are comfortable with that, it'll be part of my normal duties. And if it's not something you're comfortable with, then I'll tell you this took me this amount of time, and this is the report or the cheat sheet I gave you, and you can decide how to proceed there. To me, it sounds like either police are doing it for us, clerk's office is doing it for us, attorney's office is doing it for us. I'm likely to be reviewing whether any of those anyways, and so I guess I can be the,
Just one person doing it.
I suppose that would probably be more efficient than how it had been happening. We can assess it, and I can tell you, and you can say, Nick, stop, or Nick, this is good, or Nick, do more, or Nick, do less. Up to you guys.
Well, just, if you can see that it's way too much, don't go a whole month.
Yeah.
Just come back and say, that's a couple times, this is way too much time. So, it's just.
Yeah, yeah.
But, okay, how many places use this worksheet system that you know of?
Most municipalities use the CIB system to do their background checks. And whether, many places the clerk's office does it, some places the police department does it. But the fact is, the committee members of the communities I talk to give them those full reports.
Full worksheets.
and I don't mind getting the full worksheets with a summary.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'd want, if there's questions, we go back to the full summary. I'm gonna try to give convictions and my understanding of what those would mean.
Yep. And again, Mr. Chair, if everyone agrees, just skip the initial charge unless there's no disposition listed.
Yeah.
I jotted down on here, a much smaller version
Yeah.
of.
Guilties
what we have.
and no dispositions.
I would say you would probably want to include
And the
initial
dates, of
charges if
course.
they're pending, like if
Yes.
someone
Oh, yeah.
just got
All right.
one.
Yep, yes, please.
Where does it say
Absolutely.
pending?
It doesn't, it just says initial.
You have to guess that.
Yeah, okay. Not a big fan of guessing.
A Karnak there. They don't know what I'm talking about.
I missed it, she said, I know.
Karnak? You don't
Just
know. who
let it
Karnak
go.
is.
Yeah. Johnny Carson.
Okay,
Ask your parents.
what is everybody thinking?
Let's give Nick's proposal a shot.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll give it a shot, so we'll work that way, otherwise, we're still gonna be getting the worksheets and everything, that we are now, and these other sheets then too. And do you understand, do you have any questions here?
I'm good right now.
For now.
But as far as, as far as what we wanna see, we pretty much want, when it comes in front of you, and is pretty much what we've been doing all these years, just, that's what we wanna see.
Oh, can I mention one other thing, since you mentioned that?
I don't know.
Go
ahead,
Shut
go
up,
ahead.
I'll shut up.
Go ahead.
So the duty of reviewing this is obviously the committee, the elected officials.
Right.
There's been some point back, I don't know when, but the no written document was just a transfer of some kind. Some of those duties seem to be transferred to the clerk's office. So Monica had been going through some of them and kind of filtering some out. I have a different opinion than what she did as to what substantially relates and what doesn't through my training. I have a different opinion than what the committee has based on our past discussions. I don't want to be in conflict with you. So that's another reason why I'm giving these duties back to you until we can get a document put together like we presented, or you start seeing violations that you're like, we don't care about these, let's stop bringing them to us.
Yeah, we did talk about that too.
Yeah.
About the need to revisit that. Are there things that we're seeing coming for us that we don't want to see?
Right. And that's what I'm saying, we didn't seem to have the problem before. Of course, we didn't know what was being passed through either. And, there was a few cases where she would just call me up and say, do you want to call this person in for this, and you know, you know, and I would either say yes or no.
And I don't
No
wanna pass
questions.
something through and have the committee find out and be upset that that person should have been called in and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. So, okay, so you're looking for more of a criteria. Okay.
Mr. Chair, on
Alderman.
that, OWIs,
Well,
I'd say long histories
we had-
of disorderly conduct, but what's a long history?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Multiple, multiple, yeah.
You know, we had
Habitual.
this, before, I thought we had this conversation before where we said, if someone has multiple driving, even though we all know that it shouldn't, you know, really come to play, you know, if someone, got driving after revocation has a dozen of them, you know, I would wanna see that person. You know, I don't know, does anybody agree
Yes,
with me?
No, I
sure.
absolutely agree
And
with
even
that.
less than a
Money fraud.
dozen, you
No,
know,
I'm just, I
or
just-
within 2 years or something like
Yeah,
that.
operate
That's
on- okay.
someone who
Yeah.
just,
Credit card fraud.
And so he had that on.
Yeah, we have one on the list tonight.
Caveat to that is that regardless of how it's, how habitual it is, it has to substantially relate to licensed activity still per the code change, the statute change. And so there's gonna be a difference between what we can call in, may potentially, and what we can deny for. But that's just, I'm gonna give you the information and you guys can decide how to proceed. It ultimately, it's job security, I guess. If we're making decisions, I'll go to court on them. It is what it is.
Was it even on there?
I'll advise the committee on what I think is substantially related, and you guys make the decision on whether or not to proceed on it. This is the deciding body.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, it sounds like you're looking for would you want something like written down in a policy somewhere? You're looking for something more hard that you can hang your hat on.
What is it, if you don't mind, what are you not filtering through that you want to be filtering through right now? If I'm looking at this whole
No,
page,
okay, go ahead.
Okay, one example was what was just mentioned, the person has a number of speeding tickets, seatbelt violations, insurance in the past because of the.
operating after
volume.
revocation, operating after suspension.
Yeah.
That's the big one.
So, well, I'll come back to that one in 1 second.
Okay.
But, because of the volume, historically, the committee has wanted to see it. My training has said none of that is substantially related, so you shouldn't even consider it. That's where the conflict was. And another one is the OARs and OAS. I've never seen it being included, but the committee wants to. And so you tell the Nick that we feel is substantially related, he will back you
Well,
up on
if
that.
nothing else, we just get the person in front of them and, you know, just ask them, why should we give you a license? When you got your driver's license, you don't pay attention to it, why should we give you a license?
Well, that part has to do with the law
Because
change, which
and he's saying that we can't say no.
to some extent, if it's not substantially related, we can't say no. For example, if we have somebody that comes in, like some of our licenses that we'll discuss that haven't come in today, there will be one of those that I will say, I don't think we can relate this to, substantially relate this to the license activity. We can call anybody in we want, it's just a matter of when push comes to shove, are we gonna be able to do anything about it? I will bring that up when we talk about it, unless we wanna talk about it right now.
Mr. Chair, can I ask?
Well, let's by way of example.
By way of example, I don't believe number 6 on the agenda is something, I mean,
On the agenda.
it,
On the list?
No, on the agenda.
So we called that person in, we probably saw their record, we called that person in to explain what was going on, or maybe have them drive here. Because I think they have 2 operated without a driver's license in 2018. 3 was it 3?
Okay, thank you again.
Now, the criteria is, having a driver's license is not a criteria for having a liquor license. You don't have to have both. I don't like that there's a situation here, I only had 2 down, but maybe I'm wrong, that somebody's driving without a license. I don't disagree with you, but I might have a difficult time arguing that substantially relates. OAR or OAS, that's maybe similar, but it's the same kind of argument.
Yeah, that's a different offense. Operating without a driver's license, just you
You
don't
don't
have the physical
card on your
card
person.
on your person.
Right.
Yeah, see, I don't have that big of a problem with that. Alderman Rote doesn't have his license on him because he memorized the license number.
I really don't, I never can.
So right, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that's a reason for denial, right? But yeah, I think that's something different than operating after suspension or operating after revocation.
I have an argument I could make. I think I know Steve's position, and Kale is more hesitant than I am. I think at least we have an argument on OARs and OASs. I think operating without a driver's license, maybe it got amended to that, maybe somebody's just being nice to him, but that one I'm gonna have a more difficult time arguing, because those are mutually exclusive. Ability to get a license, a bartending license, and ability to drive with your license on your person.
Yeah. I agree. And there, that person ostensibly based on the charge still has a driver's license. They just
Right,
don't have it
just
on their
a person.
person.
Physically.
So if that person had showed up today, you could say, hey, what's going on here? You could talk to them about it and eventually approve them if they satisfy whatever you wanted to talk to them about. If they didn't show up, like in a circumstance like this, that's where my concern comes in, bringing people in that we probably couldn't deny in the first place. Is that, I guess my recommendation here is that we wouldn't deny that person either because they didn't show up, because I don't know if they got notice or what happened. And I also can't argue that their offense is substantially related. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
For sure.
all of me.
OAR, OAS, I would say OWIs within the last 10 years.
I would say all OWIs, just so we know.
Like 25 years ago, they had an OWI.
So it doesn't matter.
Okay. All
Just,
W.
I just, anybody with OWIs, because they're always there.
I think anyone with, what's it called when you
Obstructing?
obstructing an officer? Is that something
Yeah, that's fine.
that's something we
I
can?
think that'd be fine.
Underage drinking?
Underage themselves?
Public disorderly conducts.
See, I'd say
Depends what it's for.
underage drinking if they're under 25, but I think if you're 25 or over,
We had a
if you're
list.
40 and you had an under,
Yeah. We had a list we can bring back if we want to discuss it at next meeting.
I'd like to compare it
Did you
maybe.
make the list up, or?
We had a list that we presented at one point in time.
Okay.
We can bring that back.
Okay.
I would
Can you,
think-
can you email that
Sure.
to the list?
Yeah.
Again?
Great.
So-
What about
so-
drugs?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Drugs.
I mean-
offense,
I mean,
offenses, any felony?
any felony?
That also has to substantially relate.
Yeah.
Armed robbery.
We could bring them in and have a conversation with
Oh,
them.
I got one.
Right?
Retail theft.
Typically not a felony.
No, I'm not
Any
saying
retail
but
theft.
offenses wise.
With someone else's credit card or bounce check.
Yeah, identity
I don't know
theft.
the details behind it.
Yeah.
We're just we're gonna know the charge, we're not gonna know much about it. I guess I can make arguments depending on how we wanna proceed.
Mr. Chair?
Hold on, wait.
Do we wanna, are we compiling two things, I mean, are we gonna call in people that we can't deny based on the new state law? Just so we can have a sit-down face-to-face with them and send a message to them?
In which case, can we just send a letter?
That's the question.
Right.
We're gonna call in people that the state would prevent us from denying.
And we have been doing that.
Yeah, I think we
Cal
have.
wants you to kind of
Not do
not
that,
do that.
yes.
I agree with this idea of simplifying.
If the state ties our hands, we're not even gonna have a conversation with them.
So,
If it's a serious offense that could impact the health, safety, or welfare of people in a bar or the bar owner, I'd want to see them.
okay, so that's the whole purpose, that we have people in front of us to see whether they can either handle a license or should be able to have a license. And so,
Mr. Chair? And the retail theft, that would just be on the establishment owner, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's,
I don't think I'd want to hire someone that was stealing from their last company or stealing from a business.
I got news
but
for you.
that's their problem.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's something,
That's
that's
my whole
something
thing.
about
That's my-
regular
that's
business.
my
That shrinkage is almost an accepted thing,
Shrinkage, yeah.
yeah.
It was
It's even got a,
Yeah.
Different thing altogether.
it's even got a,
But I think we're using a
Positive name
stolen
to it.
Well,
credit card would be
using-
another thing because
Right.
you don't want to.
well then.
Yeah, stolen
we're
credit
gonna-
card,
But that's a
But
different
that would
charge.
be
then.
on the building or the company.
that's identity theft, or it might be just put down to retail theft,
It
right?
could be,
You
yeah.
never know.
Yep.
We don't know from these reports.
Right.
So,
I don't know.
retail theft, yes or no?
I'm gonna say no.
My
We're
thing
gonna
is that
see
we'd
everybody
rather
then.
have more information than less information at this juncture.
Right, now we can pare
Most
it down.
driving offenses aren't gonna be that big of a deal to the committee, other than OAR and OASs. We're not talking about
Yes.
seatbelts, or we're not talking
Yes.
about
No.
generally
we never-
speeding stuff, because
No,
if they're speeding,
no.
eventually they're gonna get an OAS because they catch enough speedings where they can't have a license anymore, and we'll see it that way, which I would at least have an argument
Yeah.
is substantially related. So driving offenses generally out, most drug offenses or anything that's kind of a harm to a person thing, I'll give you the information, and then we can decide, you guys can decide if you wanna call them in. I will advise you at that point as stealthily or appropriately as I can on whether or not we have an argument to prevail. If we don't, I don't want to say that in front of most people that we do or
Right.
don't, and so I'll just have to be very careful, and you guys will have to understand as much as you can what I'm trying to tell you.
And Mr. Chair,
Oh, my.
we can still deny based on 2 non-appearances.
Sure.
Yes, but there. I'm
We're-
sorry,
we're-
as a lawyer.
but we're not gonna bring him for an
Six, when I'm
appearance.
saying that the 2 or 3 operate without a driver's license on person. Are we just calling them in just to make another hurdle for people and then hoping they don't show up so we can deny them?
No,
No.
no.
I'm not saying we are,
No.
but like, that's what I'm arguing is that maybe we don't call in the people that we shouldn't, that we don't really have an opportunity to deny based on their license, or their record.
Yeah.
And so if 2 non-appearances, that's not based on a record, we can deny for somebody that, this is only based on their record that we're seeing them. There's a bunch of other stuff that we can deny for, if they're lying on applications or lying to you guys, or, not credible for.
Incomplete application?
It depends what our application looks like these days, but sure. Do we have the record?
No, I don't think.
Why, we change it again?
I think the answer is no, we can't.
Okay, example, there's the young lady that came in, out of Racine, and she came here and she was asked about driving. She said, oh, so-and-so drove me, and Tracy saw her get out from, drive into the lot and everything, and she started screaming and everything at us, and we denied her for basically lying to us.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because that had once again, we wouldn't have had her in front of us if it wasn't for that list of all those driving, I don't think that she even had an OWI.
She wouldn't have had an opportunity to lie.
If we can call her in. I understand what you're saying, I guess, and that's where we're.
Entrapment, is that considered?
No.
I'm not saying, but
Honestly,
I see
did
what
anybody-
that's what you're getting at, is we wanna make sure we're not setting up a case
One
where we are
second.
doing that.
1 second. Did anybody feel like we did wrong for denying her?
No.
No, we don't want that person there.
She was called in for multiple driving while suspended, driving without a license. That was her laundry list of offenses.
And then she lied to us
And then she
about,
lied to
about,
you, right? You never
not
would have
driving.
known that.
And so maybe what the committee wants to do is bring those people in still and ask them and hopefully put our hearts and minds at ease, and there might be circumstances then, I guess I'm warning you that there might be circumstances where I say, I'm not as comfortable denying just based on the record here. It's up to the committee if you want to proceed or not.
do we need a safe word?
Maybe, I guess. I'll come up with one.
Yeah, it doesn't. And then we gotta remember to say.
We'll just write it on the wall over there.
Okay, does everybody pretty much understand, or?
What we're doing, we're gonna try it for 2 weeks, maybe a month, see,
Sure. The list to
Yeah.
present to you.
Okay, okay, it was just a discussion item, well, I think we discussed both of these, 8 and 9, right?
It's got something for you.
Oh, sorry.
8.
Do we want
No,
any of these?
9 actually has to
in?
do with retail licenses.
Okay. I'm sorry, say it again?
Number 8, do we want any of these sent a letter?
Right, these are the ones we have to go
Yes,
through.
they're on the blue list.
I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Alderman Haas.
And Steve, Shelby Lunsford, DLMOS.
I don't know what MOS.
Moved
Did you
out
ever
of
find
state.
out?
Moved out of
Oh.
state.
Okay.
And which one is that, please?
The third one, Shelby
Shelby
Lunsford,
Lunsford.
the driver's license status, it says Moss.
Moved out of state.
So she moved out of state and is coming back to Wisconsin or something,
Her
or?
driver's license moved out of state.
Okay.
What?
With or without her.
All right. So yeah, okay.
So do we want to go from the top and me
Yeah,
tell you what
sure.
I think, or we'll just?
Sure.
I think anyone with an OWI, bring them in. And,
Just one?
and just one OWI, yes, bring them in, let's have a conversation.
See, I think we-
Because in-
Even if it's 20 years old?
And you know what, even if it is 20, okay.
But if somebody that's been
Yeah.
15
Yeah.
has kind of been our cutoff.
15.
The thing about it is that if the person all of a sudden, has one 20 years ago, now comes in and then gets another one, and then gets another one, are we just gonna discount that first one?
No.
No,
And it's just, it's on the record forever, and I think we should hold, we should just tell them that, that we're going to be, if you get another one, we may be calling you in to take your license away. Just so they know that.
Mr. Chair.
All in me.
But again, to the idea of rehabilitation, I would think if someone had one 20 years ago,
It'd be easy for them to show rehabilitation.
yeah, I mean, I think
And we wouldn't have a
you
chance
can almost
to.
presume that they're So are we wasting their
That's
time?
where that's where your
Yeah.
decision comes into
Yeah.
play.
Or lucky.
Or lucky, yeah. I mean, what percentage of drunk drivers think get arrested in a year? 1%?
Probably less than that.
We're pretty good at getting them here.
Okay, so we wanna call the first person in, yes or no?
Yes.
Got hold of that? Yes.
No disposition on
That
that
was
one.
2 years old, it was 2 years ago.
Okay,
Number 2, I'd say no. Dismissed. Is what my note
17
shows.
years.
oh, you're looking
I'm looking at this one.
Yeah.
So it shows arrest, initial charge, a court charge, and the disposition was dismissed. So I would say that the court of law found that she was not guilty of anything.
Those are two different offenses. Rebecca Jensen on our spreadsheet has one OWI from 2002. Rebecca Jensen on the memo has one cycle arrest for possession of drugs and drug paraphernalia
In 1998,
in 1998.
that's some human error.
No,
No?
what happens is the DUI sometimes, depending on who issues it, doesn't get reported at the Department of Justice and isn't then reported on that. Like some municipality might not have reported it, yeah. Which is why we do the back.
Can't we have the cops?
Which goes to your,
I'd like the cops to give us the one report and just do it how we used to do it.
That's what they were doing. They were reporting all three, but and sometimes some of the violations were the same.
And so
I think
we
Mr.
can't rely on
Johnson-
ourselves to look at this and identify these inconsistencies. That's not the work of a committee of part-time alderpersons. That's the work of our professionals, the cops.
Now, is this something that you said you're gonna do?
I can try to create a cheat sheet. The police may have more resources. I'll try to do what I can, and if it's not.
But this is what you had, this is what you're
This is
talking
what we're
about.
talking
I'll
about.
try. Yeah, I'll try.
Yeah, that shows an OWI, this one doesn't.
All I mean-
This
I
one
just
shows
wish
the
you had
drugs,
more
that one
important things
doesn't.
to do.
Is it just that you,
It seems very clerical.
did you just miss this one, or is it
Find more
because?
other
So,
things to do.
this is, the police are still doing 2 of the 3 background checks and reporting just like they have. What's happening is you're getting the full report from the CID. So,
So the police
the
did
reports
this.
show, the systems show different things. So it's not inconsistencies, it's just that report showing that report showing that, and then they're Phoenix.
So on here, in this Rebecca Jensen case,
It's not reported at the state, so it's not on the works report.
So how would that have been reflected on the way the police used to do that?
Same way, except,
Well, it didn't look like that.
no, but it looked similar to that.
Yeah.
yeah.
There was a one sheet of paper for everybody.
Did I
I
bring
have an old one?
You didn't bring it in, no?
No, but it was pretty much the same, just different sections.
Yes, yeah, there were different sections on that. Yeah.
CIB, DOT, and then local, I think it's.
So we need somebody to marry this with this.
I had toyed with that,
Yeah.
but at this point, we were putting it on the works report, so we could put the cheat sheet, we have the spreadsheet, you could put your cheat notes on.
I mean, you could just copy paste these cells right into the same thing, right underneath the same person, right?
Well, once again, this is something you did personally, and this is
This, yeah.
extremely time consuming. Isn't it?
Well, if I cut out all the initial stuff and just report the rest of the stuff, it won't be that bad. But I'll probably work in conjunction with Nick anyway on these.
One more reason to keep the license quota. Fewer bars, fewer bartenders.
How about we do this? If everyone agrees. Steve, I think the direction of the committee, if I understand it, find a way to marry this with this and bring that back to us. Is that,
But I'm still gonna give you the reports?
yes.
Yeah. But
The
just-
works.
that'll be your master sheet to look
We'll
at.
have a master sheet, we'll still have the reports. Because, you say, I could sit on a Sunday afternoon and go through all the reports, keep little notes, but you come back to it at the meeting here, and it's like, okay, which one was that one again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice to have that cheat sheet on the front, so.
Fair enough.
Okay, so we're back to your number 2 person here. Are we calling that person in?
17 years ago?
That's,
I-
I'd say no.
I would say no. Mr. Chair.
They have to be rehabilitated in 17 years.
Right.
Haas?
Yeah, I would still want to have the conversation, I I think the answer is yes, that any OWI, we should bring
Well,
them
look,
in.
if there's,
We're
well,
still gonna.
if there's an just a simple one OWI from 25 years ago, nothing else. Of course, this all drug charges have been dismissed, right?
So, yeah, so we can't even, we have to assume that this won't even show up on the report next time, because it was a dismissed case. So we're assuming that's not here. The only thing you see right now is the OWI.
Yeah, I'm flipping it right. I don't. 17 years ago, that's too long. That's too remote. We'll let it go.
So we're
Okay,
kind of-
so number 2 is a no. Okay.
Meaning they pass through to the consent agenda.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, number 3, let's see, what do we have on?
Bring them in. They have a
Yes.
OWI from 7
Okay,
years ago.
3's in. 4. Okay, I think this is the one.
Operating while suspended.
No proof of that.
And a DO
And see that
convicted.
OWI also?
And drug possession. Bring them in.
Drug possession was dismissed. It
Nope.
sounds like it was amended to
Item
disorderly conduct.
5 says
Yeah.
convicted.
That's the one above, disorderly conduct.
I believe that
Initial
was,
charge. Oh, the court charge is okay. That's what you just said.
I believe it was amended.
Amended to
disorderly
Okay, but
disorderly
we're calling
conduct.
him in anyways?
Okay.
I think so.
Yes.
Right, okay. Number 5,
What does a disposition of amended mean? That's not telling me anything.
I don't know. Somebody made a decision at some point to do something different with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it.
And not tell us what it is.
OWI.
Yes. Yes. Bring them
I'd say
in.
yes
Okay,
on that one.
5's in. Oh, wait, there's,
It'll take us 5 weeks.
number 5 had more on this next page, so. Number 6.
Yes, OWI in 2011 shows up on this one.
Yes.
Yep.
Just one? Okay.
Oh, wait.
There's,
No.
I got 2, court charge, initial charge,
Oh, I skipped
cover the same thing.
Convicted of an OWI, the PAC, which is the over a .08, was dismissed. A lot of times that's what's gonna be happening, is that
But we gotta,
I'm a
okay,
key.
this is what I'm saying, yeah, there's 2 OWIs on there.
Yep, and so there's one cycle, so look at it.
That's one
by
cycle.
the cycle.
That's one
Okay, I
incident.
It's a chronological.
Yeah, so
That's
some,
one
Cycle.
incident.
in that cycle, they got an OWI, a prohibited alcohol concentration. They were convicted of the OWI, they
see.
were dismissed
Okay.
of the prohibited alcohol concentration.
Okay, so.
That was in 2011. And then he got convicted of a
dismissed,
criminal damage to
convicted.
property or destruction of property ticket in 2016. He had other charges come in, they were all dismissed, likely for a plea.
He is the OWI in the last.
Yeah.
Yeah, bring him in, or her.
Number 7. Okay, convicted.
Underage drinking. Bring them in.
Underage 5 years ago,
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's related to drinking.
and now it's
think-
possession, and we assume that was, they weren't providing, they just had it.
That was possession.
They got caught holding the beer can at the
Yeah.
college frat
That was a
party.
West Dallas actually a West Dallas case, I looked it up, and it was possession of alcohol,
Yeah.
not selling.
No, okay.
When they were underage.
And just to be clear, this list of bring-in are the presumptive denied licenses.
You deny for that.
That's what I'm, yeah.
So, right, I think that's not the feeling of the committee. I think that there are people that we just want to have a discussion with.
Okay.
That we're not bringing folks in to deny. There are some that we will deny, but like the person right
Well-
here, underage drinking, I would want to just have a discussion. We're likely going to approve that.
Yeah, but we're calling them in to see if they've rehabilitated themselves from that.
Yeah.
That's basically what we're doing.
Sure, yeah.
You know, and so, because some of these we may deny, some of them we may not, depending on how they answer the question.
So even if the individual is 16, they're 21 now.
Well, and they might have been 20 and a half.
Right, and now they're close to 25 almost.
And, but if we call this person for underage possession, and they don't show up twice,
Then you're not responsible enough to have a bartender license.
Under state law?
Are we denying for conviction, or are we denying
Time's
them
not
for
showing.
not
We're not
cooperating?
showing
They're
up.
not
They're
showing
not
up.
showing up. we've done
And
that
then they could
before.
apply again, spend another $90 plus
Yeah.
the,
Okay, so
and
we're
then
calling,
show up.
we're calling 7 in.
Okay.
There you go. Chairman cracks the whip.
yes.
Okay, what is this? Okay, now we're back to 5. How did that happen?
Yeah, this was.
We had one OWI,
Yeah, we went from number 7 to number 5.
It was a nightmare with them.
Yeah, I can imagine, you know,
Mr. Chair,
over me.
what is a failure to pay?
If somebody doesn't pay their forfeiture or their ticket, they can get
Of
picked up
course.
on a warrant.
Okay, sorry about that.
So you probably got arrested for that, but there's not gonna be an extra citation.
It's already,
A warrant, other department, no disposition?
Likely you just picked up on a
sorry,
warrant.
conduct.
Likely, what's that?
Just picked up on a warrant.
He was picked up, okay.
I think this is gonna register anytime they're arrested, and so there's, might be times where they're arrested, but nothing really happens with it. He's paying off some fine.
well, that cycle 7's got an OWI.
Yeah, OWI,
Yeah.
Yes,
So that's
3 months
bring
ago,
'em in.
4 months ago.
Holy mackerel.
he's revoked currently.
7 cycles, you're coming in.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, I know. Okay, number 8. No works report.
Why
Yeah,
is this
no
even
need to
on
bring
here?
him in, yeah.
That's on the.
Obstructing traffic.
Oh,
That's
okay.
it?
Oh, yeah, obstructing traffic?
Yeah.
I think that's one where we'd say, if someone has an obstructing traffic, we don't need to see them.
We don't need.
Don't need,
That's who?
So that's
Okay,
number
that's
8.
Harsh
Harshpreet.
Alright, did we talk about Metcalf? That was a bring-in, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, Metcalf, that was covered.
Yes, it was.
Alright.
Underage drinking.
Right. Okay.
Okay, number 9. Initial charge, no disposition.
there's an OWI in 03.
No disposition on it.
16
I'm
years
sorry.
ago.
Oh, wait, that's 9, it's nothing, just one cycle.
His initial charge of OWI in 02, no disposition. So that's more than 15 years ago, again.
More than 50 years ago, and we don't even know if he was convicted of it.
I'd say no.
No disposition, that means it's dropped.
I don't think that's, I don't know what that means. I would,
17 years ago?
Well-
I can't imagine a court case would be open 17. Well,
well, they didn't report it correctly, clerk screwed up somewhere online, I don't know, I guess I could try to follow up on that one and see, but my inkling would be that it, let's assume for the fact of today that it was a conviction, do you want that person to come in from a 2002 offense?
no.
Well, unless they've spent the last 16 years in prison and were unable to reoffend.
In which case they've been properly rehabilitated.
Okay,
They could show proof of that.
so that's a no.
No.
No,
Okay.
agreed.
Well, we got number 10, no works report.
Speeding, excess, speeding, 1 to 10, well, operating while suspended, no insurance, speeding excess, operating while suspended, no license on person.
Registration.
All the
But
suspended.
none of this substantially relates.
Operating well, but it's got 2 operating.
Yeah, I would say no, don't bring him in because it's just 2 operating while suspended. So I feel generous.
And a valid driver's license.
Besides the name's hard to pronounce. Okay. We'll go, everybody has their own criteria.
Everyone has.
It's getting late. Okay, number 11, no works report.
An 04 OWI, that's 15 years ago.
Almost 15 years.
04.
Almost.
This is for, do I got the right person?
Yeah.
Up here, this one.
Okay, and then it says a 14?
Speeding.
Not 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I guess we don't know when the offense.
December 04.
Oh, there's 2. No, that's somebody else.
Yeah, you're
That's
the
for
next page.
Guadalupe Valdez.
Yeah, you're the next page.
Oh,
Is the 14 one.
okay, so, okay.
Yeah, maybe if you can put the
We
grids.
went up, I didn't know we went up.
Yeah,
I thought
but
it was-
you can get
I
some
thought it was
guys
low
that-
here.
I
Okay,
I had to draw a little arrow, so
I'll do that.
we're breaking that up.
okay, so we have, 11 no, correct?
No.
That's incorrect?
Lee Stegner.
Like, don't bring them in?
We're talking about Lee.
Don't bring her.
Lee Stegner, no. One OWI,
Oh,
almost
am I
15
in the
years
wrong?
ago.
Where's Valdez?
It's coming up.
That's number.
Or did I skip Ed? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
There's
number
an
12.
OWI
My
in there.
apologies.
Hold on a second. This goes with it too. Yeah, you're right. There's an OWI in 2011.
No, that's Guadalupe Valdez who has the OWI in 2011.
This
Yeah,
went
you're
up.
running together. Yeah.
Right.
Because of the borders.
Yes.
Okay.
He's gonna
There'll be
put
lines
it in.
coming.
We need. Yeah.
Apologies.
Well, no,
My apologies.
okay,
My apologies.
oh yeah, so we're just calling number,
Guadalupe.
doesn't have numbers anymore.
Wow.
That's
That's
a
number
felony.
11.
He's got a
We were
felony.
counting.
I'd say yes on this next
No,
one.
that was 11 there,
Yeah.
so this is,
Cycle 10.
this would be.
Felony,
No, this is
Felony.
K.
felony charge.
Holy mackerel.
Got a felony conviction in 97, aggravated battery.
There's
intent
8
to
years,
harm.
8
Who
years
are you
at
sp- Who are
Dodge.
you referring to right now?
Guadalupe Valdez.
Okay.
She had 3 felonies in
Holy
2000
cow.
early 2000s, early or late 2009 or 1999.
So at what point does the state consider them
Habitual.
rehabilitated or habitual? Because if you've been charged, first of all, that's, I'd say, yeah.
They've got possession with
Denial,
intent.
but if he's gone to prison 3 times and he's served his time, the state considers that rehabilitation?
There's specific language in what rehabilitation can mean. The
Yeah.
last catch-all is whatever we want it to mean, but there's times before that include, don't quote me on this because I'm just going off of memory, but it has something to do with successfully completed a term of probation or something along those lines. So, yeah.
Well, in this cycle number 10, we have an OWI in 2011.
Yep.
So that's bringing me.
Bring him in. We're just bringing him in.
2011 OWI. It says
Yep.
no disposition.
But between the OWI and the drug offenses can be something to deny based, well,
He's got 10 cycles. Bring him in. That was pretty much to me. Okay, let's move on to the next one.
The last one.
Is that the last one? 5 cycles. Okay, no disposition,
OWI 10 years
Dismiss.
ago.
15 years ago contributing,
OWI, yeah.
convicted.
and an OWI 10 years ago, and a couple OIRs. Bring them in.
That's dismissed. Okay, 5 is dismissed. No disposition.
And currently revoked. Let him know, get his license
Convicted.
back.
Call him.
Mr. Chair,
All in
I
May.
have another question. Is not paying child support also one of the reasons for denial of a license? Wasn't that one of the conditions in the statute?
Child abuse.
Child safety,
Yeah,
child
no.
abuse, it wasn't support?
There's some index offenses, there's ones that are specifically named that would be, if it's a pending offense, it can only be very specific offenses that we can consider. Generally, legislature doesn't want us to consider pending offenses unless they're violent felonies
Okay.
against an adult or a child.
Okay, 8 and 9, we're just gonna hold, because we're still discussing. So instead of voting on them,
Well, the process was gonna be,
Oh,
you
eight
only
we have to.
view it once, ask them, or we tell them, if you want to come in, you contact us. So the onus is on them, no longer
Right,
we're
right.
offering
Come
them
in.
to appear.
right,
So really, this is it. So if you decide at this point, if you want to pass it on or deny.
What do you say, 8 and 9?
Yeah, the one that you talked about.
6 or 7.
no, 8, the number, no, we're talking about the number.
On the agenda?
The
So I think what we
Item
want
number 8.
is a motion on number 8, the items that we said to bring in, the items that we said not to bring in, put on the consent agenda for council on the
Okay,
5th.
so there doesn't need to be a motion, this is a discussion item. I
Right.
changed it so it no longer appears on the council agenda anymore, this particular item.
Okay.
The names will divvy off to the appropriate spot.
And
That
So you
was-
don't have that confusion that we talked about last.
Yeah.
Okay, we're still,
much better.
we're still gonna talk about 9.
9, yes, because that
Okay.
has to do with summons and complaints and retail licenses.
Okay, let's go to, is everybody okay with
Which
8?
one was number, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, number 9. There was these, this was in front of us.
Oh, yeah,
You got one?
yep. They were gonna come before us tonight, weren't they?
Okay,
Or no?
go ahead.
I'll start.
You want me to start, because it's kind of my problem.
Sure, I'll have Ann start.
I was not sure, we held these items, License and Health held these items for potential appearances. I was confused because there was that discussion of they can't appear before us, the attorney's office, because they might be prejudged. So I didn't have any letters sent out to have these people appear, and I needed clarification on when I should do it, how I should do it, what we're doing with them.
And so Cale's, if I may, Cale's opinion is he's worried about the appearance of prejudging somebody when they come in. And so we can, but I am also aware that this committee does find value in talking to people and saying, hey, get your stuff together, get your act together, or else they're gonna be on the process of getting in. So I guess I'm not trying to tell you which way to go or what to do. Maybe the solution there is when I see something that I'm gonna be issuing and someone's a complaint on, I just advise the committee at that point.
I talked to Kale on this, I think if we call them in and basically we we look at them and say, okay, we can't go into detail about the incident or anything, or have them say anything to us.
Sure.
Because that's the problem here.
Self-incrimination.
Yeah, well, or whatever, if it goes to court. You know, but in this case, you know, saying, we just call both these places in and say, you know, we can't have this, you know, we can't have you guys sitting fighting because you have a disagreement or anything.
I
And
certainly
there's
think
only
there's
problems,
value in
and if anything more, you know, it can come from that. I think that's what we wanna do, right? But we
Send
just
a
gotta be,
message to 'em.
we just gotta be careful, we can't say exactly what happened, because then he starts explaining stuff, he could incriminate himself if we went to court. Does everybody understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, we're walking a fine line, but still, you know, does everybody know what this was about?
Yeah.
Refresh me. Q sticks.
Oh, okay, yeah. This was the two places
Two bars
here,
on Holly Road.
you know, where
was one
somebody
of
got
them,
arrested with
60th
guns.
Street.
Yeah,
Mr.
there was
Chair-
two
Chair?
fights, yeah.
Is it almost like we're gonna have these operators coming in, and we wanna warn them, they may wanna bring a lawyer, and the lawyer might wanna say, don't say anything? I mean, or are we gonna have to advise them of their rights? You're not under arrest,
No,
this
it's
is being
just-
recorded?
We're doing it for our sake.
Yes.
For our prosecuting
Yeah.
sake. And so if they start saying something, you know, it's gonna hurt us.
Well, what if somebody just starts blurting stuff out? We're supposed to say,
Well, we had that.
We gotta stop them, I gotta stop them.
you know.
I mean, it's a, to some extent, it's a risk that they're taking or we're taking. What's gonna be a problem for us is if we start prejudging the case. If we are getting them on the record and getting them to admit to stuff so that I can issue a summons complaint later and we can hold that against them in that hearing and say, hey, time out, but actually 2 months ago you told us that you did this and now you're changing your story. That's what's gonna be a problem for us, is that we didn't have them get a summons complaint which advises them that they can have an attorney or that they get that information once the summons complaint comes out. Prior to that point, I think there's a lot of utility in having knowledge as a license holder or a to know that people are watching over them and to get that
what
discussion.
we will tolerate and what's not tolerated.
I think that's perfectly fine. I guess the only concern from Kale is in review of our process when he came in and saying, hey, we should be careful about how much we talk to them about. It might be that, hey, we don't want to talk to you, we don't want you to tell us very much about what's going on, but hey, we got police reports here, and there's some alarming stuff going on here. If we keep on seeing this, I wouldn't be surprised if you come in here on a summons complaint.
And it's gonna be up to me to say, well, I know, I don't wanna discuss it with you or anything.
Right.
We're going off to the police report, and we're saying that this is ridiculous. This is a case where someone could have got hurt
Sure.
or killed, and, you know, you have to use better judgment.
And if they can't take enough warnings, and they start want to chirp up, then fine, they can say whatever they want, I guess. But we did what we could to shelter the committee and the city from the air of illegitimacy. I guess that's what we're trying to protect. Is we want this to be a good process.
Mr. Chair,
Hold on, mate.
I've seen it in other communities where as the committee starts, there's, you know, we ask everyone who's gonna be coming before us to stand and take an oath that they'll tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Even though we're not a court, can we advise them, maybe we don't do that, but can we advise them that, you know, you have rights, you don't have to answer any questions we have today, here's what we have. At least we've warned them, and if they speak, it's on them.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is if you say, hey, you're making a statement on a recorded channel here. I mean, we're just coming at you here to tell you we got our eye on you. Take it easy. If you want to tell us something, just be aware that it's being recorded and it could be used later. I mean,
Well, that's
Or
what I'm
you put
saying.
it in the
What I'm
letter.
saying
You're being
might be
summoned.
used against you. If you feel you need
You
to bring a
you
lawyer.
can say something like that.
I don't think we tell them they need to have a lawyer. They could have a lawyer at this
Yeah.
phase because
We just say that.
that's the
it could be
adversarial
used
hearing
against-
part of it. And they're not going to come back and see us if they stay out of trouble.
Put it in the letter.
But I believe,
You come and whatever you say.
isn't it in the letter already? That it may be televised?
Oh, that is.
That is in the letter, yes.
Okay.
But we could
But you
also
were
say
angling something else.
that, you know, anything you say can be used against
Okay.
you in a court of law. I
And-
don't know.
Do we want to make
We
people
don't, I
swear?
don't know if we wanna say that.
No.
And- Yeah.
And I'm not a lawyer, I'm just putting
We
ideas.
don't wanna
You would know
Mirandize
better.
people
No,
where-
Okay.
no. That's not what this is.
We only do that, we do that at the, we do it at the administrative review board,
Mhm.
because it's like a trial.
That is
You
a
know,
trial.
and so that's why we do it. That's the only time I think we've ever done it. Or we've done it where
We
we
do it
go
here.
take a license away.
We do it here in the revocation process,
Right.
correct. But that's later in the revocation process when somebody is told you can come with a lawyer. It's all in the documents that they get. This would just be, hey, we got an IRI on you, please start behaving, otherwise you're gonna see us and it's gonna be a lot worse for you.
Yeah.
Is really all that boils down to.
Okay, now, okay, that's those two cases. So we're gonna be calling them in, okay? And then we have the compliance checks. Or we have those are those two. Okay. No,
Mr. Chair, I actually talked to Waukesha, how they do their process with the compliance checks, and if you want me to tell you what they do. I
go ahead.
I don't know how often they do their compliance checks, if it's more or less than, I think it's less than us, but the only time anybody appears before the committee is during renewal time. However, the clerk that I talked to in the clerk's office, they saw an uptick in their failure percentage. So now they're gonna bring them in earlier. So their renewal time, they would meet probably April, May. But they're gonna start bringing people in February and March to give them a talking to, I guess. But the only time people appear before them is for the compliance checks, and it's at renewal time at this point in time. They don't bring people in for police reports unless it's serious issues. I'm just reporting what Waukesha does.
Yeah, no, I thought we already made a decision. If it happens once, we're not gonna probably take press charges, but we're not gonna have a summons and complaint. If it's more than twice in a year, automatically, we've already told the attorney's office to come to us with it, right?
You're talking about the compliance check.
Compliance
Right,
checks.
Right.
Yeah. Well, then we should call them in on the first one and tell them how serious it is, because if you get another one within a year.
We do bring them in.
Well,
we
I'm
should
wondering
keep
though,
bringing them in.
do we need to
Why
call
don't you
them
bring
in,
them in?
or could we do a letter?
I think calling them in is a lot more than a letter.
And to your point, calling them in, are we then collecting?
Well, it's just a compliance check, it wasn't.
I guess I'm not seeing the difference. Okay, so if we have a bar report, right, and it's absolutely horrendous, right? What the heck were you doing? Why is it prejudging for the committee to just say, this is troubling, we'd like to know more of the facts, please draft up a summons and complaint so we can have it in, and then you draft it up. Why is that prejudging in any way? To just say, look, this is a very troubling report.
I'm not saying it is. What Caleb doesn't want on the record is saying, boy, oh boy, like, I think this is grounds for revocation or something along those lines, because if you don't have all the information at that point, or getting somebody in advance and having them say a whole mess of stuff that would be against their interest later on when they don't know really the ramifications of what they're saying. I think that's what he's more concerned about.
Well, because we can make a summons and complaint on any of these people and come in, and then we don't have to worry about that.
If you want me to be only this committee's attorney, yeah.
Right. Well, I'm saying these here compliance checks and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I don't wanna do that. I don't want you writing all these things up. But I'm saying that's.
I agree with you. I think there's a lot of utility in bringing somebody in and just giving them a warning and not freaking them out, but letting them know that there's somebody watching them. To Alderman May's point, though, if we're just setting them up if we can't revoke them for the offense, I'd be hesitant to say, haha, we got him twice for not showing up, let's try to revoke him on that. I don't think that would be anybody's position.
No.
I think it's more warning them, you got one, this is pretty serious, we take it pretty serious if you're serving underagers. We've revoked or suspended people in the past, please get your act together.
You get caught twice with operating a bar without a license. You know, when we get those reports, there's no reason we shouldn't say, I want to have a summons and complaint on this.
Sure.
Right, with no further discussion, right?
Yes.
You're just saying, don't say, gee, we should revoke him for this, let's bring him in on summons. I get that, but there's no reason the committee couldn't look at a report and say, attorney's office, we want a summons and complaint on it.
Right.
Because we want to know
that's
more.
all-
We want to know more.
We should talk to the chair, and the chair is gonna direct us.
Yes, that would be the way to do it, because the fine line there is if you're acting as, because an individual, a citizen of the city of West Allis can ask for someone's complaint or can go through that process. And so we did have actually a circumstance in the past, I think you were the complainant and you had to sit out of the situation there. Versus, and me and Kayla had a discussion back and forth of even having Alderman Chaplewski sign off on the summons complaint, because he's the chair of this committee, does that have an air of illegitimacy then? And
The attorney's office should sign it.
well, I'm not. It needs to be somebody that's a citizen of the city.
Yeah, resident.
And so we're gonna have.
Changing hats from complainant to
It was
judge.
it was a goofy discussion at some point, but we decided that even having Alderman Chapletsky sign it was fine. And so I think it's fine if we make that motion, if we see it and there's too much and I haven't acted yet, I don't have a problem with that. My goal is going to be a little more proactive on these and say, hey, I've seen way too many of these. If a bar that was operating and didn't have a license wasn't going to get approved, you would have seen if someone's complaint come through on that. If I get the 2 cents that if every single time there's 2 compliance checks and we're just giving them a slap on the wrist, I probably wouldn't be issuing someone's complaints on those anymore. So I guess my job is, or my goal or Kale's direction is to feel you guys out a little bit more and try to get those in advance. But if you're seeing something as much of a red flag that I didn't catch, I have no problem with a general directive to go issue a summons a complaint. We haven't made a decision at that point if it's going to be suspension, revocation, or nothing. We don't know. Just be careful, I guess, is all Kale's position.
Okay, we had the next one here is Remy. Now, he came in last time, and he started telling us stuff that we didn't know.
I'm hoping to get it served this week or early next week.
Okay, so we'll wait on him, see.
Yeah.
Don't call him in, nothing.
There'd be no point.
Okay, but then we had the, let's see, the compliance checks we had, that was, we always call them in, and I think I still wanna keep calling in the compliance checks. Just
Yes.
telling you.
Yes.
If this,
Yes,
it's coming up.
and we don't wait a year, we don't wait till April. We call them in as they happen.
While they're thinking about
While
it, while
still-
that
yes.
this person is still an employee,
Yes.
have a discussion, is that
Yes,
person
if we
still
wait,
an employee?
we wait 4 months to tell them how important it is to us, they might think, yeah, whatever, and now suddenly they got 2 in a year, and it's like, well, if I would've known it was that important, I would've been much more careful, or I would've trained my staff better. Yes, compliance checks get called in right away.
Okay, then we had that other one, the violation, this was the drunk people in front of her. I think this is the second time we've had a case where the police said, the people were really drunk. See, that was one of the things that in these police reports that really disturb us is that, the police show up and somebody's just really intoxicated. Now we watch a fine line, as those people that came in last time, said, well, they walked in that way, we didn't serve them. Somebody can come in and have 1 beer and walk out, but they had 20 at the last place they were at. It's a hard thing to judge, but in this case, you have these people standing outside in front of their bar, all hammered. And this was the second time, and they just took this thing over, and so I thought they should be come in and just say, listen, guy, you gotta start watching this. And so that's why I wanted them in.
Bring them in.
Anybody any questions?
And this particular bar runs a lot of all-you-can-drink specials.
This is the
This is-
dingers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dingers, whammies, Lucky Chance, and then the ever-famous Smoking Joe's.
God, look at that record.
Oh, you weren't here for Smoking Joe's, huh? Okay, so we're gonna call them in, and then the compliance check for Crawdaddy, even though it was a restaurant. Okay. Sally, what, I'm trying to remember what that one was. Yeah, Sally Wood in red, white, and blue. I don't know
Red,
police
white,
reports in
blues.
front of me. But these are all the ones that we said we were gonna call in.
Okay.
And then Tap City, Tap City was a
The
license.
Oreo
person.
cookies.
No, that wasn't the reason.
Okay.
Oh,
But
no.
I think
It was the cameras, and there was a bar fight, I thought, wasn't there? And they didn't have cameras working?
Is that the guy showed up at Aurora? Is that where the police responded to the
I
hospital?
think that was the one.
Yes, that was where the police responded to the hospital. Yeah.
Okay. Make sure we get these reports before.
With the pool
Oh,
cue.
yes.
So,
Yes.
you usually doing
I just wanted to give
And then there
you
was one, I think,
them in the history that is on their
yeah.
record.
Okay, and then the, Sollywood, that might have been with the no license. I know there was one in here with a no bartender didn't have a license.
That was red, white, and bruise, and I think
Oh,
that
okay.
actually was corrected prior to, wasn't that mistaken to some extent? Like
Yeah.
it was in the mail? Yeah.
Yes,
That was the
Okay,
July
so we won't
4th
call
incident.
them then.
and that was with the minor down the street, the cross-dressing minor? No?
Yes.
I don't know about
Yeah,
that.
there was some
That was weird.
Yeah.
underage person down the road who said they came from Red, White, and Bruise. They came
Yes.
there and then found out that they didn't have their license,
Right.
but they lost it in the mail or something.
Yeah.
Didn't have.
Okay,
Yeah.
we won't call them in. Okay, but we're calling it Sallywood? I just don't remember why. I don't know what was that. Okay,
We'll find out when we see him.
and then we talked about Tap City, right? Okay, so, so number 9, what are we gonna do with that? We're just going to,
Mr. Chair, can I ask one question on that?
Okay, go
So,
ahead.
right now we have all these police reports that we place as separate items on the agenda.
right,
Is there any real purpose for putting them on the agenda versus just sending them to you and you guys can decide who you want to see? Contact you, contact us?
I don't know, I don't think anybody here started putting them on the agenda, so, they've always been on the
No,
agenda.
I think it was just used as a tracking mechanism, but we have a tracking mechanism, and we're getting a licensing program next year, which will keep track of all reports, but you should still be
Do you know
informed.
of any
so
reason why?
send it.
I think we're just talking about.
Is there a legal reason to have them on the agenda? No.
It's not
Procedure
needed.
type of thing.
So I could literally,
So we
once we
wouldn't
get
have
it
to-
monthly, we
so
can
we wouldn't
just
have to-
email it to you.
Right,
That'd
but
be
as
fine.
far as voting, don't we have to vote on everyone?
If somebody wants something voted, or like if there's a serious issue,
Well,
that's where this whole summons and complaint issue comes into play. If there's a serious issue, or if you wanna talk to somebody, then we'll add it to the
Okay,
agenda.
we always get the police report, we always vote on the police report, the place on file, and then everything that was in the police report.
Yeah, so most of them are placed on file, which means there's
Right.
real no reason to have it on an agenda. It's just a
And
report.
we're basically placing them on file by placing the police report on
That's it.
file. Anybody got any problems with this?
Dan's raising
I
his
know.
hand.
Oh, yes?
So you don't even want the initial report on the agenda?
Me?
Steve?
Right, we don't put the document in the file, the attachment, so we have a
How,
listed
how
item.
do we keep track of, and not that I'm opposed to it, it's just how do we keep track of who our problem places are
We s-
then?
We still get the reports.
But we don't
monthly.
have a tracking
Yeah,
mechanism
that
for it.
single page shows us that they've had
I get
12
exactly what
things.
you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
instead of placing it on the agenda, we get the report, pass it on to them, and add it to your list.
But then where is the report to go access it if we need to access it to pull their
We
history?
will find a place to put it.
Okay, you're saying that you kind of need that
For the
Yeah,
to
this
go
tells me,
look up.
this tells me that on this date it was a final action, it's file number
Well,
and
but
it's
you're not the
jacket number, and I know exactly
Oh,
where to
well.
go to get it.
We can figure that out
Easier to
internally.
find.
But we don't use Legistar to keep track of it,
I do,
but we don't put the reports in Legistar.
but this tells me where to find
Where to
it.
find it at least.
That's where to find the action the committee took.
This tells me where to find the report, where to find the jacket
Let's talk about
that
that.
holds the report.
You guys look it up.
And
But
then
but I like
the-
this, we gotta have
Okay.
Yeah, so the report, the compliance checks, you just gave clear guidelines on what to do, so if we get the compliance checks and somebody fails, that we can add right to the
Right.
agenda right away. But anyone who passed, we'll just pass you on the report, or email you the report, there needs to be no action on it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, we'll see Ann always sends them to me and I tell her, okay, which one's to call in or not.
Well, I'm talking about the compliance checks, right now we have
We call them all in.
Yeah,
yeah,
and we continue to.
but we've had separate line items on the agenda for the,
Yeah, right.
for the whole report.
Right, for
and
all the
then-
police reports and everything.
Yeah.
That we vote on, I know that. Well,
Well,
See
I'll
if you
talk
can
to her
work it out.
internally before we
Yeah.
change anything.
Let's do slower
Okay.
changes.
okay. So number 9, we're just gonna leave it, right? Or you-
Yeah, that's just a discussion
Okay,
item.
so that we're leaving. How did I miss 7? Oh.
She didn't appear.
Show up.
Is Victoria Wildebrandt here? Okay.
If the committee,
Thought there was two
Mr. Chair, if
people.
you don't mind, if the committee has already
And number
moved to
6.
denial on this one, we're waiting for rehabilitation, she was convicted on October 1st in municipal court, and she did make several admissions related to drug use and drug abuse in my court while I was there.
Your
court?
Well, the court's court. In the court that I was in, I'm sorry.
So we can deny her based on,
Her admissions of drug use, her recent OWI that's substantially related to licensed activity.
And lack of rehabilitation.
And
We
lack
already
of
did deny
information
her.
related to rehabilitation. What?
no, we called her in.
We call it in.
Call her in,
And
she's
she
number
didn't show up.
7.
And she said,
That's right. That's that process confusion.
So,
I got it.
so do I have motion on number 6? I'm sorry.
I move for, on
Yeah.
6 or 7?
7.
7.
I move for denial for the
Second.
reasons identified by the Assistant City Attorney.
Second.
Who seconded it?
I thought Rote did.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, then we have number 6.
I didn't hear the motion all the way before you seconded.
It's okay.
Is this their first non-appearance?
Once in a while I get it.
We're getting away from the
Okay.
non-appearances.
So this was the one that we talked about previously, where she had the 2 or 3 speeding or.
No driver's license on person or something along those lines.
Oh, I move for approval.
Well,
But wait, she has to come here? Do it? Is that the problem?
that's the requirement, basically. What's habitual law offenses?
They still have to substantially relate to licensed activity. That's one of the ways that your wings were clipped, is that even habitual law offenders have to substantially relate. Effectively, habitual law offenders doesn't make any difference anymore,
Or other offenses?
in my opinion. And so, as long as it substantially relates to the licensed activity, and we can make an argument to that, you guys can proceed.
But,
how you see
okay,
fit.
here, she's got these violations, and here it says.
Okay.
Yeah. the one-
She didn't put anything on her
She put on it,
application.
it's in- I mean,
Incomplete
an
application.
Is that the old
It's
one?
one of the old ones, yes.
Oh, okay.
That was one of the reasons, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, that was one of the reasons some of these changes, because other communities don't require the same requirements that we have, so there's a little inequity. And the new forms did take Marty's suggestion, Alderman Weigel's suggestion about taking that off, because we do the background checks anyway. So they don't have it, that's one of the older forms.
And we were inconsistent on it.
That's the only thing that changed on it, yeah.
Well, some of us were.
I'll second your motion.
Yeah, I move approval.
Yeah.
And,
I'll second.
let's go that. Yeah, thank you for the second, Alderman May. And now I'll be quiet.
All in me seconding?
Yes.
Okay, is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Number 9, we're gonna just wait on. Some reports. Do you have anything else to come in front of the committee?
Mr. Chair, on the compliance check issue as it relates to, they weren't on the agenda, but it's a general compliance check thing. It's 6404, the Persona Bar.
Mm-hmm.
Are they facing any consequences other than not getting a license?
Well, tickets.
I can talk to you at some other point.
Okay.
Because it wasn't on the license, but we can
Okay.
talk.
Okay. That was my only
They would have tickets, but they're not on the agenda, so.
No.
Right, that's right. I'll talk to you afterwards.
Anything further?
Mr. Chair, are we gonna have the next license and health meeting on the 26th, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving? I'm okay with it, I'm just asking.
The reason, it's important for me to know how my timeline is to serve somebody for someone's complaint.
Right,
Yes.
Oh,
It's fine with me to do it.
yeah, I plan.
okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
I
Okay.
can't make it, but that's okay.
Oh, hunting.
Good, it'll be shorter meeting.
They're going to Denver.
Okay.
Snows that weekend.
I hope not.
Thanksgiving weekend, Denver.
Now you jinxed it.
It's been
70 the next
70s.
day.
You're right, yeah, right.
And
I think this
is there anything else? Motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are now adjourned.
I think this,
Grabbing like a claw.
Oh, no, it's just laying in front of you.
Put on a liquid bag.